Hello everybody, I'm Aaron.
I'm Jiping.
Yes, so today we are going to talk about Lentor
Lentor
Central.
Central.
And it's going to be the second post-harmonized project in the Lentor Hills and Cave.
Yes.
Right? And this development is developed by who?
Actually developed by Hong Leong, Guaco Land and also by CSC, which is actually one of the main builders of many of the developments in Singapore as well as Alta as well.
So in terms of Lentor Central, right, I think there are many nice layouts, right, to share with you guys here today. And prices might be very attractive as well, right? Actually, in fact, the indicative prices just came out today.
Yes. At this very moment, we're actually doing this video today. In fact, the indicative prices just came out and we have already updated our slides to make sure that it's as close as possible of the data.
So today, right, we're going to go through more on the floor plans, and especially with so many layouts in the Lentor and Cave, right, we want to be able to compare with other surrounding developments and see which layout is worth looking into, right? Yeah.
Correct. Okay, so let's just get into it. Okay, so Lentor, as we know, the preview date is actually on 21st of February to 4th March. The booking is on 8th of March. Then, of course, looking at this as some of the perspective that we see here, we actually have 2 towers of 27, 28 stories. So total, we have 6 pools. And actually, this is one of the pool views that we actually have. Coming in here, like I say, these are our 3 developers of Lentor Central as well. And some of the project info that are at the bottom.
So the project information, right, over here, actually the master builder in this area, right, is who? Is
Hong Leong,
Guaco, right? And this time round, they actually brought in the CSC land. So CSC land, previously they built, I think, Verdale, is it?
Verdale.
Yeah, Verdale. Yeah, for Guaco, Lentor Modern being their first projects in this Lentor and Cave. I think there's a reason why Lentor bid so many pieces of land over here, right? Because they see the potential over here.
Correct.
I'm sure that the prices will be pretty much competitive, right? Because the master builder is Guaco and they will not anyhow price
Correct.
the
They will not,
developments.
usually what they want to do is they will manage their prices. So because they are for one master builder, if they were to anyhow start to price it too highly for one of the projects, it may also affect the rest of the project's launches as well.
Yes. Yeah, so just now you mentioned about the project information. I think in this development, there are about 477 units. Yeah, 2 blocks.
2 blocks.
Yeah, one block is 28 levels and the other one is about
27.
27 levels. The TOP date is
No later than 2030, so we are expecting it to be TOPing about 2028.
2028. Yeah, and the car park lot actually is quite rare.
Yes, the car park route is something is quite rare because as we know, Lentor, all the projects are actually very, very near to the MRT. But this time around for Lentor Central, the car park is actually 1:1.
1:1.
That means to say there's 477 lots of car park lots in Lentor Central.
Yep. So in this area, actually most projects will all collectively like TOP around the same time. Yeah. So which is why we want to play extra cautious. In this case, especially when you enter into the Lentor and Cave, because you want to choose something that have an edge over other development.
Correct.
Especially when it comes to the resale market.
I think that is something that's very important because I think this is also the main worry for a lot of people in Lentor, entering Lentor, about the oversupply. So that is why choosing the correct layout is something that we must be very careful about.
Yes. So all in all, in the Lentor and Cave, right, there are about 2,900 over units in the whole Lentor area. Yeah. So in the span of a few years, almost how many percent sold?
In fact, as of today, about 93+%. So without Lentor Central, we only have about 7% left in the entire supply for Lentor.
Yes. Although so many supplies in the area, but you can see 90% oversold already, which means what?
Correct.
There's only one thing, which means the demand is still very strong over here.
Correct. So total by right with Lentor Central, we have total of 2,954 units. And of course, like what Aaron had talking about, there's only about 7% without Lentor Central. So that is why there's going to be a lot more attention on Lentor Central and emphasis of it as well.
So over here, actually, in terms of the view, over at this direction, you actually see a pretty good view over here, right? You see the reservoir view.
Correct.
Yes, and facing downwards, you will see the Hilllock Park and the lower Pierce Reservoir. So maybe Jim can share with us more on the design of this development over here.
Okay, so just give you a little bit of a heads up. So like I said, the block 18 is actually 28 stories. The block 20 is 27 stories. So in the middle, level 14, both of them actually has a sky roof garden as well. And if you can look here into the site map, just a little bit of orientation, this is where the main entrance will be. There's actually a childcare over here. So total, we have 2 blocks. Yeah, like that. Okay, this is facing towards the garden view. This side will be actually facing the opposite GLS. The back will also be facing the GLS as well. So what's interesting about Lentor Central, you realize both of these blocks are actually parallel to each other. And we know that north direction is actually like that, north-south. That means to say actually we get very good wind ventilation without having to have blockage from your neighbors as well. I think that's important, especially we know that how Lentor Central is very tuned towards being a own stay kind of a development.
Yes. Okay. And actually, Lentor Central is the highest development, tallest development in the entire Lentor and Cave.
27 and 28 stories.
Yes.
So moving on, and we can see this clearer, we realize this is the level 1 view that we will see. So total, we have 6 pools as well. We have actually 1 to 4 bedrooms kind of a layout. Then on level 14, this is actually the roof garden. Interestingly on block 18, okay, the one with the level 28, on level 29, we actually have 2 barbecue pits. So if you ever are interested in having like a barbecue in the skies kind of a feel, actually Lentor Central will actually be able to provide you with that as well.
Yes, in fact, the pool size is quite decent. A 50 meters infinity edge pool, as well as a 25 meters lap pool, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
There's tennis court as well as the early childhood childcare.
Correct.
Yes.
So this is a full facilities condo as well.
Yes. So next will be the elevation chart. We have 1 to 4 bedder in Lentor Central. And actually for those who are looking into 5 bedder Lentor Central, unfortunately we don't have a 5 bedder. Maybe you can consider Lentor Mansion, right? For the 5 bedders.
Yes.
Yeah, Lentor Hills don't have, correct?
Lentor Hills don't have.
Yes.
Only 5 bedroom is in Lentor Mansion.
Lentor Mansion, that's right, yeah. So in fact, for the unit mix itself, right, one of the most units in the Lentor Central, right, will be the 2 bedrooms.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, which is about 44% there, about close to half already.
About there.
Yeah, and then of course we have the 3 and 4 bedders. We have the same amounts of units over here.
Correct.
Okay, so next we'll be talking about the 1 bedroom analysis over here. So for the 1 bedroom in Lentor Central, we have actually 2 size, 463 square feet for the 1 bedder, as well as the 1 plus study, which only has 2 units. Yeah, and 1 plus study is about 581.
Correct.
Yeah, so for the 1 plus study, of course, there's this enclosed kitchen.
Yes.
Over here, enclosable kitchen. Over here, chances of it launching, right, below 1 mil, what's the chances? Actually,
not very sure. But like I say, actually, there's only 2 units of the 1 plus study. So actually, I wouldn't want to put too much emphasis on it because end of the day, unless our Q number is the really very good, then we might be able to get it. But I think what we want to focus on more is probably on the 1 bedrooms because we at least have about 50 plus units to be able to manage as well. And I think it's important to also understand that you realize both stacks, one is stack 11 and stack 6, right? Both of them, one is actually facing the pool, the other one facing the outside. So you realize actually in terms of facing itself, there's a little bit of difference, which actually have a chance that stack 1 will be slightly a little bit more expensive in terms of the view, which I think is where we want to be very careful about. Because end of the day, if you are buying this for investment purposes, we have to be very careful where we want to pick the facing because there'll be a different price gap for a future exit.
So especially, I think for 1 bedder, we also want to see whether if there's an oversupply issue for the 1 bedder in the area.
I think
we should be touching on now. So on the 1 bedder supply over here, and in fact, we are taking Hougang as a comparison in this case, right? So in entire Hougang area, there is almost about how much 1 bedder? There's about 2,167 1 bedder. So if you currently own a property in the Hougang area, you know, and facing some difficulty in selling, this is because 1 bedder oversupply in the area, in the Hougang. Yeah, so probably in the resale market, owners are finding a little bit tricky to sell the 1 bedder in the area. So for the Lentor area, right, the one bedder, 1 plus study, there's only about 380 units. Which is only about 8% only.
Correct.
Yeah. Existing inventory, there's only Meadows and Thomson Grand, excluding the Lentor.
Yeah. So that's why you realize one of the biggest problem that people who wanting to invest into Lentor are small units. They'll say actually, the small unit might be a little bit hard to exit because you realize like what we saw just in the Hougang area in terms of supply, it's almost 20%. But for here, you realize the total right now we have about 2,954 units, right?
Below
and
10%.
Of which only below 10% are 1 bedroom. Plus, we have the advantage of the MRT as well. I feel that this is a place that for investors will be something that we can be seriously looking at. But usually my experience, if you're looking at a 1 bedroom in Lentor, I would suggest that my clients actually buy it early. Most importantly, because if you buy it early before the developer will move on in price, it also gives us a safer price gap per se.
Yes. Yeah, so over in Lentor, if you go for the better project, in terms of better facilities, better facades, right, you already have an edge against other people already, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so secondly, if you have a good layout as compared to the others, then when it comes to resale, you definitely will stand out among the rest.
Definitely.
Right. So we'll be sharing more on the rental yield now for the 1 bedder rental yield. So taking the Meadows at Pierce as a comparison, the 1 bedder rental is at $3,000.
Yeah,
right?
about there.
About there. And within the same development in Meadows, here's the 2 bedder is at how much? 3,500. So actually doesn't mean that you got a 2 bed 1 bath, you actually get a lot more rent. So in terms of the yield, if you do a calculation for you, later we'll be showing you the calculation. So for Panorama, something that is closer, comparable with us. Yeah. Again, you can see the 1 bedder is about 3,000.
Yes.
Thereabout. And similarly, the 2 bedder is about 3,800 thereabout. Yeah. So in terms of the rental yield, maybe Jin Ping can share more of the yield.
Okay, so you see right now in Lentor itself, what we're also going to compare is actually the Lentor Central 1-bedroom versus the Lentor Mansion 2-bed 1-bath, which is actually the next closest competitor per se lah. So you can actually see based on our current prices that you can see, the yield is about 3.3% based on a $2,900 kind of rental. But based on Lentor Mansion 2-bed 1-bath, of course they will yield a little bit more, about $3,500. The yield is about 3.4%. So you realize if you are investor looking at rental yield, right, you realize the yield is quite similar in terms of the both layouts. So I feel that in terms of the rental, it's still quite okay. And Lentor Mansion has really sold out, so there's no way you can go back in time to buy the 2-bed 1-bath. So this is probably our next best option as well.
Okay, so next we'll be talking about the 2-bedder analysis over here. So for the 2-bedder, there's actually no 2-bed 1-bath in this development, Lentor Central. The smallest is actually the 2-bed 2-bath.
Yes, the layouts here are beautiful.
Right. So the total ratio of the 2-bedder, as I mentioned earlier in the unit mix, right, is 44% out of the entire Lentor Central.
Correct.
Yeah, so for the 2-bed 2-bath, you mentioned there's two sizes. There's two sizes, 678 square feet, as well as the 689 square feet over here. Of course, there's different layouts. There's dumbbell layout and a traditional layout. So over here, you can see the type 2B actually is a traditional layout.
That's why the size is also slightly bigger because of the corridor.
Right. And then for this two model over here, unit type over here is actually the dumbbell layout.
Correct.
So actually, the other developments in the Lentor and Cave, right, actually has pretty much 2-bed 2-bath.
Correct.
Right, which we'll be doing a comparison next with other developments over here. So comparing Lentor Central, 678 square feet, right, to other projects in the Lentor, right, actually the three projects are not really apple to apple.
Yes.
You can see from the layout over here, right? Yeah, because why? Because the kitchen is like kind of like a kitchenette over here.
Long kitchen,
long kitchen right over here, right? Whereas for us, we have
proper enclosed kitchen.
Proper enclosable kitchen over here. And the Lentor Central kitchen actually has a glass by the side.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So you can see actually for the Lentor Central side, actually you do have a piece of glass here. Actually it also helps you to bring in a little bit more light. Whereas if you can see for our so-called the Hewlett one, right, it's a kitchenette. Okay, so if the most common objections or concerns that people have about kitchenette is if I were to be cooking here, all my rooms will smell like my dinner later. Okay, for mansion moving forward, actually it's also a dumbbell layout, but it's also an L-shaped kitchenette. If I were to want to enclose it out, then I have to probably do it on my own. Of course, Lentoria, when we talk about this is like a galley kitchen that we see here, and the common concern, same thing here, because it's still like an open kitchen. That means to say I have to enclose it myself. If not, then the smell may spread to the entire house. So looking at just layout per se, I would say that most of the people will actually prefer this one layout. What do you think?
This kind of layout, yes, which we'll be going to show you next. So Lentor Central comparing with Lentor Modern and Lentor Hills Residence, I think that this is pretty much comparable.
Correct.
Why is it so? Because number one, Lentor Modern and Lentor Hills, right, actually they have a more superior, not say more superior, have a superior layout as compared to Lentor Central. Why I say so is because Lentor Hills, you can see the glass panel kitchen makes it really very bright. Yeah, so you can see this entire area here. It's actually a glass.
Correct.
Yeah, which makes the entire kitchen
definitely
bright. We also have a glass over here.
Definitely.
Yeah, so Lentor Modern, despite being about 6, 7, 8 square feet, right, they managed to squeeze in one thing, the flexi room.
Yes.
Yeah, so it can be kind of like the 4th bedroom or a helper's room or additional storage space. But unfortunately, both of these two layouts are fully sold already. So we can't turn back time. Now we have Lentor Central, which is also kind of like a good layout as compared to the other.
But you realize that is also why so interestingly, we know that these two layouts are what people have already preferred because of either could be the flex room or could be like the enclosable kitchen kind of view. Of course, Lentor Central doesn't have that flexibility of the flex room, but having this enclosable kitchen will also open up another group of buyers for us in the future, because usually if I look at 2-bed 2-bath, maybe we'll be more focused towards the family kind of a profile. And I'm sure as a family man yourself, this kitchen is definitely something that is very ideal for you.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, so in terms of the transacted price for Lentor Modern, 1.35 to 1.67, 1.36 to 1.52 for Lentor Hills, right? It means that this is the accepted price for people already. People are actually entering about close to 1.7 for Lentor Modern over here. And our starting form price for Lentor Central is actually 1.3.
1.37
there about, about 1.4. So can you imagine the person who actually bought at 1.67, they need to sell at how much to make a profit?
If it's me, Maybe I think 1.9.
They need, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's possible, I guess. It's possible. But how to minimize your risk, ensure that your risk is kept to a minimum, is that buying lower than what others have paid for. Right? So entering about 1.4, 1.5 range, I think is very safe.
Yes.
Yeah. So we are actually selling at what? Day one price of the entire Lentor and K.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're
We
quite
are
close,
turning
in
back
fact.
three years ago. Yeah. So I think if you have a good ballot number, I think you should go for it.
Definitely.
Yes. Okay. So next we'll be talking about the 2-bedroom plus study analysis over here. So in fact, for the 2 plus study, we have 4 different layouts, right? But actually, are there a lot of difference to it?
Actually, you realize in terms of the differences, of course, there are 4 different stacks, different views that we see over here. But essentially, they are about 786 to 797 kind of a range. But I think one of the biggest difference is the one that we saw just now. Remember, talk about the one with the window in the kitchen.
Yes.
You realize that this 2 plus study here actually has that same attribute. And at the same time, right, also have been able to build in another 3rd bedroom as well. So that's why I realized actually one of the very interesting thing for our 2 plus study here is that usually our study will be tucked right next to maybe like the common bedroom. The toilet will be on the other side. But you realize right now the toilet is also ensuite, the bedroom is also ensuite. That means to say if I were to close up here, this can become a 3rd bedroom. Of course, if we can have the budget to buy a 3-bedroom,
Go for the 3
that would be
bedroom,
nice, right?
Yeah.
But for those people who probably need that kind of bedrooms but they don't have that kind of budget, this could be something that they can so-called have an idea of. That's why I say having this enclosed kitchen, be it with the glass or let's say like this without the full L-shaped glass, right, is important because these are things that cannot be compromised by family profile.
Yes.
And I think this is something that is a very, very big selling point in Lentor Central because it's very seldom that we see these kind of layouts in Lentor as well.
So we are doing a direct comparison with Lentor Mansion over here. So the concern about Lentor Mansion versus our 2 plus study at Lentor Central is actually, right, they actually have the same size over here. You can see our 2 plus study 786 versus Lentor Mansion 786 as well. But they managed to have 1 more bedroom, right?
Yeah.
Squeeze in 1 more bedroom. And also an enclosed kitchen as well over here. We can enclose it over here.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the average PSF for Lentor Mansion should be higher than us, likely, right? However, the quantum is pretty similar.
Yes, correct.
So when it's similar, the concern here is in future when you put into the resale market, right? Some buyers looking for own stay will maybe want to have that 1 extra proper bedroom. But however, that doesn't mean that Lentor Central is no good, right? We actually have kind of like perhaps a larger living area.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. And I think which is also important to be a large living area over here.
Correct.
Yeah, so I mean, this is what it is now, right? Transacted price for a 3-bedder at Lentor is about 1.7 to 1.92. But our 2 plus study prices is
Quite good.
Decent.
Decent. I feel that one thing for sure, if you're looking at this apple to apple in terms of size, definitely it's the same. One has 3 bedrooms, one has 2 bedrooms. Naturally, most of the people will be more guided towards the Lentor Mansion. However, you realize given whatever we are looking at now, first thing, Lentor Mansion has already sold out in terms of this layout. Second thing, when they actually bought at 1.7 to 1.9, knowing that if they are going to be a proper 3-bedroom, more than likely they will be selling a much higher price. However, now both of what we have here are 2 plus studies that can be modified into a 3-bedroom. I think this is a plus. If you don't need the extra bedroom, this can become a study room, it can become a store. But you see, if this becomes an actual bedroom, then you already have to find ways to utilize this properly.
Yep.
So what's important for the 2 plus study is if we can be able to get something that is probably lower or similar to this can be an advantage also. Of course, if you're telling me 1.9, then no lah.
Yep.
If you're telling me maybe about 1.6, high 1.6 to maybe 1.7, I think that we can still take a go because end of the day, Lentor Mansion don't have already. So this is probably our next best option at this point of time also.
So we'll share more on our 2-bedder top choice. I mean, if there's an opportunity for you to get a queue number, we should prioritize our purchase, right?
Sure.
The last thing you want to do is that when you go for your booking day and you stun and you don't know what to do. Correct?
Yes.
And you got a good queue number, but you choose the wrong unit, then this may affect your resale value in future. So you want to minimize that. So the top choice for a 2-bedder is actually the 689 square feet unit. Why is it so? Because I think that it's a very rare classic layout.
Yes.
The traditional layout over here. Yeah, because in the entire Lentor and Cave, there's a lot of 2-bed, 2-bath. Correct. So we want to stand out from the other unit.
Correct.
Others development.
Correct.
And we have our enclosed kitchen over here, enclosed kitchen. While some 2-bed, 2-bath, they actually have what? They have a kitchenette kind of layout over here. So when it comes to Lentor, I think that we try not to purchase something that has a lot of supply.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to stand out from the rest of the
Correct.
people. Yeah.
I think that is also important because you realize, just like you were mentioning, the 2-bedroom makes up about 40% of the entire Lentor, right? So then you realize, well, as per what our research here, you see that actually in terms of dumbbell layouts, we have about 700 over kind of units here. But we talk about, let's say traditional, there's only 200 over. That means, can I say, most of the people who are buying dumbbell layout, I mean, in your experience, usually the investors, which one would they prefer, you think?
Actually,
dumbbell or traditional?
Actually, dumbbell.
Dumbbell,
Yeah.
because efficient in space, that means to say my size is smaller, my quantum is also smaller. So definitely will be very suitable more towards investors. But I look at the traditional, although size is slightly bigger, the quantum is slightly higher, but you realize family profile is where they can actually imagine to stay here. Small families, of course, I mean, if you have 2 parents, maybe 1 kid or maybe 2 young kids, probably this is something they can also easily accept. And the most important thing is most of the people who are buying this layout, more than likely will be won't stay. For the dumbbell ones, I will assume that when they hit TOP, more of these dumbbell layouts will actually be out for sale because they're investors, so they want to exit fast.
Yeah. So over here, we highlighted that the entire Lentor, Hills and Cave, there's about how many? There's about 718 dumbbell units. But in terms of the traditional unit type, there's only about almost 1/3 of it only.
Correct.
Yeah, so I think this 1/3 actually will stand out. People when go to the resale market, they view your unit, they'll remember your layout.
Correct.
The most.
Correct.
Yeah, and the starting price from 1.38 onwards.
Is Sunfa.
Yep.
2050 PSF.
2050 PSF.
I think the price, what do you think?
I think it's reasonable. Why I say so? Ori people already buy into how much already? 3,000 PSF.
Yeah, we look at OCR to OCR, we look at even Chuan Park. Actually, the attributes to me, don't flame me. I mean, it's quite same because they are all near to MRT.
Yes.
And they all have a mall nearby, right? And Chuan Park has already gone out to what? 2008?
Yeah.
And for us, we're only looking at starting at 2,000. And of course, if you're able to buy very much closer to this pricing, I feel it will be something that is very, very safe. And usually for Hong Leong's pricing, they're quite careful with how they price their units. They usually price to sell. That's why to say, actually, I feel that this Lentor Central will be a very good opportunity if you're looking at a 2-bedroom unit.
In fact, I think we did highlight, we are pretty near to Lentor Modern, correct?
Yes.
Sheltered walkway.
Yes.
Yeah, to the mall, and we
5
are
minutes.
nearer, even nearer than Lentor Mansion.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that's a good bonus point.
Yes, and I think one thing about Lentor is very interesting. Do you know the whole entire Lentor enclave, right? It's all sheltered. That means to say if you're staying there, right, in fact, you never have to bring an umbrella if you're going to the MRT ever again, you know. Yeah, and I think it's something that's interesting that we all want to take note of.
Yes.
And I think this is the layout that I feel personally in terms of supply is actually quite rare. That's why in terms of the demand itself for family profile who is strategic in this place, I feel that they will actually be sought after as well.
Yes. So next, we'll be talking about the 3-bedder analysis. And in fact, the 3-bedder compact, it's actually starting from how much? Close to about 1.8, thereabout, right? Yeah, and 915 square feet. I think it's a very decent size compact.
This is very, very, very decent.
Yes, because this compact comes with a kitchen with window over here, as well as both toilet, bathroom actually has window also.
You probably have seen enough resale units, right? Have you had the problem where you go to an enclosed kitchen and then your client say, "Oh, Aaron, this place is very dark. My kitchen very dark." Have you had cases like
definitely.
that? So you realize that actually when that happens, this is why, because it's a wall here, right? But of course it's efficient because if it's a wall, there can put carpentry, But now we actually have a L-shaped glass here. You realize, right, sunlight actually shines in here properly.
On all directions, two
and
directions.
You realize actually we have units that has all outside facing. That means to say this part will be very naturally light up. Plus the extra window here, this whole place will be very, very well illuminated. Of course, you may say, hey, then it's a little bit waste of space. But don't forget, we still have bottom cabinets. We still have cabinets over here. Plus, most importantly, if you look closer, we even have like a broom closet kind of storage over here. So in terms of storage space, I don't think we won't have enough. In fact, this L-shaped glass will be really much of a highlight to this house as well.
And I feel that this layout has complete privacy at the foyer over here, as well as it's very rare, right, to get daylight into this corridor. So fortunately, we have this AC latch over here where you need access to the AC latch.
Correct.
Where you will get actually sunlight into the unit.
So your whole corridor there will also be a little bit brighter.
Will be definitely lit up.
Yes.
Yeah, so comparing with the Lentor Mansion 786 square square feet, right? Actually, Lentor Mansion does not have these features.
No.
Yeah, so this is like bonus. Yeah,
Correct,
so I feel that this layout will likely be a very upgraded top choice when it comes to the resale markets in future. Yeah.
Because in terms of room space is great, the living space is amazing, the kitchen is also quite spacious, plus the extra storage that you don't really see in a lot of 3 bedrooms in today's market, because usually it's home shelter. If not, then you don't have it, then you have to make your own. I think this is something that is very practical for all of us. Okay, so next up we're going to compare the 3 bedroom layouts comparison in Lentor Central and the rest of the projects here. So you realize in terms of the layout, all these 3 are pretty similar, like what we call them the traditional layout. That means to say the living room is here, then you have all your bedrooms at the back. So this is of course the most private kind of layout that we see here, but what is some of the difference that we can see? So you realize, we have already done a lot of comparison. You realize first thing of all, the kitchen side in terms of the brightness, of course Lentor Central will be the brightest because of the L shape that we mentioned. Second thing you realize, in terms of the aircon latch, it's actually much smaller than what we have seen. Why? Because we are harmonized. That means to say developers cannot sell us the aircon latch, they will try to make it as efficient as possible. And most probably, I think this is the most important part. As a family profile, Lentor Central, you realize our layout do provide a very good space for a proper dining area. Why is this important for us to have? Because end of the day, people who are buying the 3 bedrooms mostly are what? Family profiles. You look at the Hulock and Lentoria, you see that the dining is a little bit more cramped. Not say don't have, it's just that you need to have a little bit more imagination of how you place the unit as well. If not, you can see like dining here, I actually have to do like maybe like an island.
It's an island.
Yes, correct. So this may not be the top choice that we have. That's why we still feel a Lentor Central's layout right now is the most proper one. Of course, if you look at the comparable kind of layouts, we have Lentor Central, Lentor Modern, Lentor Hills, and Lentor Mansion. In terms of it, it's actually pretty similar, but same thing of all the 4 that we see, right? Lentor Central is still standing out because the kitchen is still the more illuminated one. Most importantly, let's talk prices. These are the accepted prices in Lentor Modern, which is about 1.822 to about 2.1. Lentor Hills about 1.83 to about 2.13 as well. Lentor Mansion 1.9 plus to 2.195. So right now, we are actually starting about how much? 1.8 billion. Can I say actually you realize something very special here? You realize we are actually being able to buy back at 2022 old price.
Day 1 price of the entire.
Why is this important, Aaron? You know, a lot of times, a lot of my clients tell me, Jinping, you know, how I wish I actually bought a unit, right, pre-COVID, or even during COVID, when things were much more cheaper than now, you know. But I tell them, sorry, I don't have a time machine. But you see, in Lentor, this magical place, right, the developer actually allow you to have the chance to buy back at the day 1 of the first project in Lentor. Is this amazing or not?
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, this is something that we have never seen before, and it's something that is going to happen. So guys, if you are looking to be upgrading, Lentor is something you cannot miss. This magical place. Alright, so now let's move on to the 3-bedroom premium analysis.
So for the 3-bedroom premium analysis, right, actually we have 2 different layouts, but actually same size.
Same size.
Yes, about 1076 square feet. But do note that, right, the RC latch, however, is at what? It's at the back. There's this RC latch over here.
Correct.
Yeah. But actually, is there a lot of issue to it? I don't think so, because it's at the back. Yeah. So I feel that it's still quite okay.
Most importantly, it's not charged into your land.
Yes,
if it's charged into your strata, then no lah. But this is not, so it's fine.
Of course. Yeah, so for the kitchen, also we have this very nice glass panel over here, right? Which I think is good because you get daylight into the kitchen again, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, but of course we have this extra yard over here, as well as our home shelter. We have our WC, all got windows over here. Yeah, but however, what's the concern of this layout?
The biggest concern about this layout that I will say is that in terms of the size, it's very, very similar to our 4-bedroom. That's why I think in terms of choosing this unit or the 4-bedroom, right, there must be a certain decision that you have to make. Because end of the day, if your budget can comfortably, let's say, stretch a little bit to go up to the 4-bedroom, definitely the 4-bedroom will be something that you want to go for. But all these things we'll explain later, but right now it's just a little bit more about the layout itself. So at least it's clearer for you guys what is going on. Okay, so looking at what is the top choice of our 3-bedroom today. So of all the 3 bedrooms that we see, the first priority we're going to put out, of course, is the 915 square feet. So one thing, because we know that this 3-bedroom itself, actually it already suffices most of our family needs. Although the 1076, personally to me, I feel is beautiful. I really think it's beautiful, but depends on what is your queue number also. If your queue is really in front and you really get this at a very good price, then why not? If you have a good price gap between the 3 and the 4, but you're already to the maybe the mid or maybe towards the back, right? And there are still 4 bedrooms available and they're similar price with the 1076, right? Then I will suggest maybe you should consider the 4 bedroom first. All these will all be subjected to what your queue number is. If you very lucky queue number 1, then you just whatever you want.
Yes. So we'll further elaborate with some calculations at the back over here. So next we'll be talking about the 4-bedroom analysis. And for the 4-bedroom analysis, actually I feel that it's quite competitive in terms of the pricing. Why I say so? Because number one, the 4-bedroom compact, 1,184 square feet is actually very close to our 3-bedroom premium price. So in terms of the price gap, I think it's pretty near. Yes. Okay, so we have a very huge walk-in wardrobe space actually for the 4-bedder.
So this layout itself, although they are the same size, one of the biggest difference that you will see is actually in the wardrobe in the master area. So you see there's one, the so-called the 4A layout is actually a longish kind of a wardrobe, while the 4B is what most of the ladies will really dream of, which is the walk-in wardrobe.
Actually, if you take a look closely, I feel that the 4A is also not that bad. The space is quite well used in terms of the master bedroom. I feel that the wardrobe is like one long wardrobe by the side.
In my opinion, if we are looking at this practicality, don't flame me again, I feel that this is actually more practical. Okay, but of course, most of the ladies that I have so-called spoke with or interviewed,
they prefer a walk-in wardrobe.
So of course, same thing, if you prefer this layout, of course it also boils down to what your ballot number is. If your ballot number is good and is within your budget, of course we can go for this. But if it's not so good or you're further to the back or it's already sold out, actually this is also practical, which also means you can actually buy more clothes.
Buy more clothes. But one thing about this 4-bedroom compact, the smaller 4-bedroom, actually there's one shot of bathroom. There's only 2 bathroom, right? Yeah. Correct.
This is in fact my favorite layout of the entire...
I love the living space actually. It's quite wide.
Want to buy?
if I can.
Okay, so why is this very interesting? You realize as a 4-bedroom that goes, right? I ask you because you're a family man again, is storage space usually a concern to you?
Definitely,
right? With a bigger household, you realize, hey, I need more storage. So you realize this 1,399 square feet, right? 4-bedroom layout. They don't just give you 1 storage. They don't give you 2. They give you 3. Is that enough, Ivan? 不够?
I think 还不够.
Okay, so then you must manage your own stores at home. So coming in here, you realize right at the side, we actually tuck in a home shelter for you. Okay, at the kitchen inside, we actually have a so-called a storage room over here. Plus, we actually have the broom closet like storage we talk about. So this layout I feel is very interesting because imagine you have a helper. If you are looking at the 1184, right? If you have a helper, actually more than likely it's either your helper have to stay in one of the bedroom or probably have to be sleeping here or the home shelter lah. But sometimes people don't like But you realize for the 1,399, there's a good chance I can actually put my helper here. I can still have 2 proper storage. But of course, this is not about what it is, but the flexibility of how you use the space is important. So this is one part that I want to highlight. Another thing, I ask you, imagine you have 3 children. Okay, then all your children come to you and say, Daddy, I want to have my own toilet. I'm big already. Then your house, right, is this. Only have 2. 1 here, then 1 here, my right. 1 here, my right. So who will you give this to?
You have to share.
You have to share, right? So can I say, you have to pick a favorite child. But you realize with our 1,399 square feet, everybody is your favorite child. Because why? Our layout, all the bedrooms are all ensuite. And this is important because end of the day, it's not just about the bedrooms, but it's about how the piece of the family is as well. What do you think? Do you really think that this is something you relate to?
Having more bathroom in a huge family, I think is important. After coming back from a long day from shopping, everybody's queuing up for the toilet.
Yes, it happens.
But now, everybody got their own bathroom. Correct. Everything will be faster.
Yeah.
Okay, so next, right, we'll be doing some calculation for you. Why we want to do a calculation? Just now we mentioned that our 3-bedroom premium 1,076 square feet versus our 4-bedder 1,184 square feet actually is only a mere 108 square feet difference.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very minimal. So assume at 2,000 PSF, actually the difference is about 216 difference. So if you have the capability to go bigger, actually I feel that this may be a more superior layout. Yeah, over here.
Of course, end of the day, if we have the budget, definitely the 4-bedroom is something that we will definitely prioritize. But of course, it really depends on what your actually needs are. Because for 216, right, you're actually getting another proper bedroom. You are also getting a home shelter as well. You're getting an extra bedroom. Okay, and this is something that I think is important because end of the day, if your family is bigger, this will be something that will be more important. Plus, of course, you look at even the bedroom size also much bigger as well. So all these space are properly utilized into the space of us. So end of the day, still boils down to what? Queue number.
Okay. Sometimes you want to buy, also cannot.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, we have one client, the Alta ballot just came out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at the back.
Yeah.
But never mind. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise because they can come to Lentor
The
Central.
universe is telling him this is not your project.
Correct.
You must come to where?
Lentor Central.
Yes.
Yeah. The next comparable 4-bedder in this Lentor Central, right, actually is this Lentor Hills Residences and Hewlock Green. Because why? Both have wide frontage living.
Yeah.
The Lentor Central 1399 square feet, I think the 4-bedder potentially is one of the largest in terms of the dimensions for the living room.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you will see, actually Lentor Central and Lentor Hills, right? If you look very closely, right, they are almost identical.
Yep, pretty close. 5.5
Pretty
meters.
close. You know why is that so?
Why is it so?
Because both of them are the same developer.
Same developer.
And why the developer actually so-called like redo this layout into Lentor Central? Because this layout makes sense.
Yes.
And actually this 1399 square feet on the first day of launch, right, in Lentor Hills, in fact was one of the faster moving 4-bedrooms.
To sell, right?
Yeah, so it's very surprising because people actually can relate to this kind of layout. And I will foresee a Lentor Central when they see the actual 4-bedroom in this exact layout, right, it will be something that they can be very excited and want to also be going after for. Of course, Hewlock, we also have the 4-bed 3-bath with the wide frontage as well. This is slightly different. This one you have the junior master on one side, the other side the rest of the 3-bedrooms. But you can actually see in terms of the kitchen, actually is, I feel, is slightly smaller, and it also lacks of a so-called home shelter as well. And the storage wise, you realize this is severely different from what we see in the Lentor Central one. So this is something probably we also want to take note of what is our so-called competitive analysis, because end of the day, all of these layouts will be sold. All of this layout in terms of staying, definitely people will be staying into. But if now that people will have a choice, do you think they'll pick this, or this? This is something that we need to be very careful, because end of the day, when we're buying a property, is still talking about the exit strategy.
Definitely.
Having the correct or the safe layout will definitely give us an edge.
Definitely. Yeah, another thing to highlight is that, right, for Lentor Hills and Hewlock Green, right, actually the windows ledge you can see, actually it's slightly thicker. Yeah.
Okay.
Why is it so? Because post-harmonized. Pre-harmonized.
Maybe.
Yeah, but over here, if you realize the exit ledge is a bit thinner. And this is what we observe over here. But I think after harmonization, the thicker window ledge doesn't happen anymore. That's something that we observe.
This is something we also observe in terms of the casement window, you mean?
Yes, yeah.
If you will come down to Lentor Central to take a look, you will realize in terms of the casement, right, it's actually much thinner. That also gives you the ability to fully more utilize the space in the room as well. Okay.
So there's a case study over here. I think Lentor Hills, right, residences, there's only 16 units during launch. But then this is the first unit type to be sold out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Means what? Means hot demand for this kind of layout.
Correct.
Total there's about 67 of such layouts.
About that.
Yeah, but they don't have a walk-in wardrobe.
Correct.
We have a walk-in wardrobe.
Yay.
Over here. Yeah. So the other projects that we mentioned, there is a landscape living, there's like Hewlock.
Correct.
And at 2.7-ish, actually already achieved that kind of pricing, right? So I feel that this is something that you can consider for Lentor Central over here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So next, we will share with you more on our top choices. We are towards the end already. And actually, in fact, if you're looking for own stay, we feel that we should go for this 1399 square feet.
Yes.
As Chin Ping mentioned earlier,
very nice.
Superior layout.
Yes. Very, very nice.
So for investment, we will go for the
slightly
smaller 1184. Yeah.
Okay, so why we put this tick over here, right? It doesn't mean that this is exactly more superior. It just means that, happy wife, happy life. No, but of course, end of the day, I feel that in terms of layout wise, these two are pretty similar. There's no plus or minuses. It's just a little bit more because of preference. And because of the preference, if the two prices do have a lot of difference, right? Definitely you want to go for somewhere that is slightly lower in quantum, of course, because the only difference is in the wardrobe. I don't think it will impact too much of the selling. But like I say, if the quantum in between is maybe say 300k difference, then definitely it's something we want to be very, very careful about. So,
yes. So for investment, which has a better ROI, actually there's no right, no wrong, right? The 1184, 1399, almost the same ROI with reference from Jetscape.
Okay.
So we can see, right, the smaller versus the big 4-bedder, actually the ROI you can see is pretty much similar. Yeah. But I would say that the 1184 will be a safer choice. But the 1399 has a really more ideal layout for own stay.
I would say 1184 maybe say upon TOP, you can consider to maybe exit. The 1399 is the one you can maybe stay for 2 or 3 years and you put it out to sell. You will still be able to see a good profit because this big layout that I will see, the 1399, I will foresee majority of the people will be staying. And if you are the only one that is actually selling or only few that is selling, can we say that actually safely we are actually commanding also the price of this unit?
I would say so.
Right? Yeah, so that's why 1399, if you're planning to stay, I think 1399 can be a good goal. But if you're going to exit short term, maybe 3 or 4 years upon TOP, right, I think 1184 is still a better choice.
Yeah, maybe the 1399 is going to be a part stay, part sale kind of strategy
correct.
you should be doing. Yeah. So lastly, over here, again, our preview day is on the 21st of February to 4th of March and booking day is on 8th of March over here. So I think the idea of this video here today, right, is to help you to choose which layout to go for and how should you prioritize if you got a good queue number, right? Yeah, and then you need to choose your first choice and top choice. Yeah, you got anything to add on or Chipping?
Please come and take a look at Lentor Central.
Yeah. So I think we hope that this video here can help you to make your good decision for your purchase, and we shall see you at the show flat then. Alright, okay, thank you.
See you. Bye.